Welcome back to the shop. Today we're going to be taking a look at another piece of outdoor power equipment purchased off of Amazon. Let's get right into it. So this is one of those handheld gas-powered two-stroke brush cutters. Looks pretty similar to a weed whacker, but has the insane saw blade and chainsaw blade down on the head of it that you can usually use to take down trees up to about 2 inches in diameter, 3 if you're nuts. And this is a Proyama brand. I believe that's what this stands for, is Proyama Brush Cutter 42.7 cc. Very important that we state that it's 42.7 cc's, not 43, not 42, 42.7. Don't forget it. And of course, our country of origin is
China, 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 China now, China, China.
And the external packaging looks pretty good. It didn't arrive damaged or anything like that. It's got this nice carry handle on it, so if before you unbox it, you gotta carry it any amount of distance. It makes it a little bit easier, I guess. That's kind of nice. So this was about $235 delivered, I believe, somewhere in there. That's about half of what a comparable Husqvarna unit would cost. That's the only other brand that I looked at when it comes to outdoor power equipment. I either go with Husqvarna or I just kind of buy whatever's cheap and see how long it lasts. And that's the route we decided to go with here, because to be honest, I'm going to use this thing maybe 2 or 3 times, and then I don't know after that. That might be the only time I use it. But I've got a bunch of little undergrowth on the backside of my property that I want to clear out, where I'm going to be hopefully digging a pond this year, if not this year, next year. So if it can at least get that job done and then last any amount of time beyond that point, that'll make me happy. To be 100% honest, if I was looking for something that I was going to use more than once at this price, I would have just gone with a Husqvarna unit. This isn't, like I said, is not that much cheaper than what a comparable Husqvarna would cost. It is about half, but even at half, I think it's kind of worth going with the name brand unit if you're going to use it for any amount of time. Without further ado, let's rip this thing open and see just how good or bad it is. So I think it is worth mentioning that this had overwhelmingly positive reviews on Amazon. And like anything else, there were definitely a few negative reviews, but you get negative reviews even with the name brand stuff. And I think, you know, what's important in that case is that the company actually warranties or, you know, tries to remedy any problems that you might have. And this says right on the box, any problem, do not return to store, contact us by email. I don't know what the email address is, but I'm sure it's listed somewhere in the Amazon listing. All right, let's continue with the unboxing. Beautiful. Alright, looks like we have the obligatory fuel mixing jug that comes with all of the foreign outdoor power equipment. We'll add that to our collection. A set of ear muffs, which are also made in China. The circular saw blade and the chainsaw blade. Got a toolkit that's got a scrunch in it and a couple of random Allen wrenches, 1 zip tie, and some other spare hardware. Got a set of gloves here that I could probably use for something. Does come with the string trimmer head. That's kind of nice. I just bought it for the brush cutting attachment, but always nice to have a spare string trimmer or weed whacker, whatever you want to call it. Comes with a little bit of trimmer line. Set of safety goggles in case you're doing any high school chemistry experiments. 1 more blade. String trimmer guard. The shoulder harness and guard, which is actually really nice. I didn't think this was going to come with that, although now that I think about it, I'm pretty sure that was listed in the ad. And this looks like it might be the end to a kayak paddle, but we'll see how that actually fits later. And then the instruction manual and what looks to be some sort of warranty information sheet that I'm sure is probably useless, but we'll hang on to that just in case. All right, I'm going to get the rest of this cardboard out of the way here, and then we'll take a look at the main unit itself. All right, before we get too far, let's try and attach the handle. And I'm going to assemble it with just the tools that come with it, and we'll see if that's possible. I'm sure it is possible. This thing actually seems halfway decent. And again, for the price, I feel like it should be. 230 bucks is still, I mean, a relatively significant amount of money, even in this day and age. You know, if this was like 120 or 150 bucks like some of the chainsaws are, or even less than that are on Amazon, I'd maybe expect a little bit less, but the metal does feel like, well, I guess the word everyone uses is Chinesium, because it just has that weird feel to it. It doesn't feel like anything that you'd find even at a big box store in the States. And the plastic as well feels brittle, and all the edges are jagged. Feels pretty similar to that Dereel chainsaw that I own as well. Although, to be honest, I'm still using and pretty impressed with the chainsaw, so hopefully this thing turns out the same way. We'll start with that somewhere right about there, and we can always adjust it later if we need to. I will say that this thing is freaking heavy. I think the specs said it weighed somewhere around 17 pounds, and I would say 12 to 15 of that is all back here. Alright, and then let's go ahead and take a look at installing the chainsaw blade right away. And this nut is reverse thread. I definitely just knew that. It didn't take me several minutes to figure that out. Alright, so on this guy, I believe the arrows should face up. Hopefully that's right. I guess we'll find out, but alright, that's nice and tight, and then they do give you a nice little cotter pin too that you can stick in there to keep that nut from getting lost if it does come loose. There we go. Well, when we got that out, we might as well put the guard on right away. And the guard does have a directional arrow on it here. That's kind of how I figured out the rotation of the blade. So those arrows should be facing the same direction. Hopefully that's correct. Alright, so there's that. Now at this point we should be able to just shove the two halves together. But before we do that, just wanted to touch on this real quick. It looks like there is no maximum RPM for this, so just as fast as you can get this thing going, it should be able to handle it. And it does, on the other hand, though, look like the minimum to the negative first is 8,000. So just keep that in mind. Honestly, buying half this stuff is just, it's worth the cost for the comedy that comes with it. And like any other similar piece of equipment, to mesh these two pieces together, you just shove the square peg into the square hole, and bam. Tighten up the collar, and she's ready to party. Well, I just spent about 10 minutes getting this thing set up to fit me a little bit better. I did end up having to slide the bars all the way back up to the attachment point for the harness, loosen the block back up, and then twisted the bars so they were up almost vertical. I'm about 6'4", so that just worked best for me being a taller guy. Back down where they were before, when I had my hands on them, the blade was like, I don't know, 3.5, 4 feet off the ground, which is obviously not ideal, but with them slid all the way up like this, it fits pretty well now. So I think we should be about ready to go ahead and gas this thing up and see if we can fire it. I am going to just very quickly make sure the spark plug is tight, which it is. Feels like it might even be a little over tight. Feels good enough anyway. And the manual does call for 50 to 1, and it says 50 to 1 on it for the fuel ratio, but as I learned with the Dereel saw for a break-in, I think I'm going to run 24 to 1 just for a tank, just to give it some time to break in, and then after that we will switch back to 50 to 1. Alright, let's see what she does. In the start position, does have a throttle lock on it, but we're not going to use that right now. It says to hit the primer bulb 10 times. I actually hit it more than that because you can see the supply and the return line coming from the tank. I just hit it until I saw fuel going back into the return line back to the tank. So that should be good, should be fuel at the carburetor. It says to flip the choke lever up, which I'm assuming is on, it's already on. And then we'll pull it, see what she does. A fire. Let's go try it out. Alright, so you guys can see there, this thing does actually work pretty well. Seems to work a little bit better if you allow the motor to kind of speed the blade up and then run the blade into whatever you're trying to cut, which I think is pretty standard for these things. The Husqvarna that I've used in the past that I would say is the equivalent version of this seems to have a little bit more torque. It almost seems like with that one you can, put the blade up against something, grab the throttle, and it will still spin the blade. I might be misremembering that though, but again with this one, seems to work better if you get the blade spinning before you run it into whatever you're trying to cut. But I didn't have any issues with it. Like I said, it seemed to work pretty good. I got just about everything that I wanted to get done back there and around the yard done on, well, a little less than a half a tank of fuel, it looks like. So I'd say overall for what this is, that seems to be pretty fuel efficient. I don't know. There doesn't appear to be anything wrong or broken on it yet. As far as longevity goes, we'll just see how long it lasts. It's anyone's guess. I go into buying stuff like this with the expectation that it's not going to last that long, and however many uses I get out of it after I get done what I want to get done, everything after that is kind of just bonus points to me. Of course, there are a few negative reviews on Amazon. People had stuff they didn't like, stuff broke. The worst one that I saw was that this gearbox here was just leaking fluid all over the place, and it sounds like the company's been pretty responsive and fair when it comes to replacing that stuff. It seems like if you want something immediately, they send you a used product, so I don't know what that means, if it's refurbished or if they just send you a used return or something like that. But if you want new parts, it sounds like they're a little bit slower from what I was reading. I do see there's some black junk coming out of the gearbox on this one. It looks more like kind of like dust. It's not a black liquid like the one review that I was reading, so we'll see if that turns into anything worse in the near future here. And there's just a quick look at that, just that little tiny black spot right there. It appears to be some kind of like metallic dust, so I don't know if that's a normal break-in thing or, like I said, if this is gonna be the first thing to give out. I guess we will find out over time. So again, I bought this to do one quick job, again for what I paid for it and everything that you get and how well it did the job that I wanted it to do. I think it was worth the $230. I don't need another $500 piece of power equipment that's just going to sit there for 51 weeks out of the year. So I think this was a halfway decent compromise, and again, for the price point, I'm happy with it. But if you're looking for one of these that's a quality piece of equipment that you're going to use frequently and keep for years to come, my personal opinion is I would go with the Husqvarna. Like I said, we've had one in our family here that's going on 12 years old now, and it gets beat every year, and that's still holding up quite well. So again, do with that information what you will. Maybe this one will last, for a long time, maybe it won't. But again, if I was looking for a quality piece of equipment, that's not a gamble that I would take. So one more time, here's everything this thing came with. You had your instruction manual and warranty papers, the toolkit, the circular saw blade, this three-pronged, I think this is more of like a grass blade, a little bit of string, the string trimmer head, your earmuffs, safety glasses, gloves, and then the chainsaw blade that I have attached there. One more quick thing I don't think I showed is this does have an air filter. It comes with an air filter. It's a foam filter. It's not saturated in oil, so I don't know. I mean, I probably would saturate this with some high quality foam filter oil if you're trying to get any sort of life out of this thing. Although, looking at it, feeling it and everything, I don't think, if anything's going to go first, I feel like it's going to be this gearbox than the engine itself. I've had good luck with these engines on all of the Chinese power equipment that I've bought thus far. But again, I don't really use any of it that frequently. And this does have a primer bulb on it. It's kind of in a stupid spot. I think I already covered this, but it's down below the carburetor on the bottom here, kind of hidden. Kind of had to hunt for that when I was looking for it the first time that we started this. Alright, so I think that's going to pretty much cover it. Hopefully I answered all the questions that you had when you decided to click on this video. If I did not, just drop them down there in the comments and I'll see what I can do. Well, until next time, thank you guys very much for watching and have a good one.